All right, welcome back, everyone. I have Lauren Elaine back, and we kind of skipped a week, I think, but I'm glad we're going to catch up today. And so, welcome, Lauren.
Yeah, you started getting sick of me, so
No, I'm
I'm
trying
just
to
kidding.
rotate people in, but you seem to get a very good following on my channel, so I'm always glad to have you back. But yeah, so you're doing great things right now, and I think today we're going to kind of talk about maybe financial skills for life, and we can also dig into maybe one of your Instagram posts that you had recently and a poll and kind of see how that went. But yeah, let's talk about financial skills for life.
Yeah, there's so many, and none of them are really taught in school. I think that's one thing that public education is really lacking is financial skills. My number one is we just came out of tax season. Learning how to do your taxes is so important, and um, just knowing what tax breaks, what tax benefits, and things that you can do to keep your money. Because once you start making money, of course, the hardest part is keeping it. So I think educating yourself. I actually got the 2024 um, tax code book from Barnes and Noble, and I read through it periodically, and there's a lot of good information, and it's not as dry and boring as you would think it is. Like, you can go from section to section and you can look in the glossary and find, I'm specifically interested in short-term rental, and you can flip to the short-term rental section and it'll give you the information on um, being a real estate professional for a tax break on that, or it'll give you like real life examples. So it'll say, like, John had an Airbnb, and he managed it 15 hours a week, so he qualified and he got to offset his W-2 and all of that. So it's not as boring as you would think, but it has some great knowledge, and I know that I've definitely saved a lot of money in taxes just by educating myself.
Sorry, so is this book the actual tax code book, or is it like a condensed version of it?
I think it is the an actual tax code book, but it is slightly condensed. I'll have to look up. I'll send you a picture of it, and I can link it in the comments, or in the afterwards. So I think I can't remember what the brand is, but it's like blue and yellow on the cover, and it is maybe slightly condensed, but I don't know. It didn't seem very condensed. I mean, it's like this thick, so it seemed like it kind of had everything in it.
I was just gonna ask, like, roughly how many pages. So I think, but that's kind of the thing, right? I think people always complain, or maybe they think like the wealthy are cheating on their taxes or doing illegal things. But the thing is it's all there, right? And we all have the opportunity to dig deeper into it or look into it. But
Mhm.
that's how the wealthy keep their money, though, right? There's all these tax benefits, and it's just, some people look at it as they're going to think people are cheating, and there's other that are like, okay, I'm going to figure out how these people are taking advantage of these tax codes because they're there. And
Mhm.
that's exactly, what you're doing, and that's such a great point. But I want to kind of maybe touch on this a little bit more. So, like, do you do your own taxes currently, or you hire someone else?
No, I have somebody who does them. I have a CPA, and I am going to switch to somebody who does a little bit more of the financial planning, because um, when you're doing flips or real estate, something that isn't a consistent W-2, you never know what your tax year is going to look like. So, for example, last year I did a lot of flips and I sold them in the same calendar year. But this year, I will have not purchased any new flips, maybe one. And so last year, my taxes were way lower because I had a lot of depreciation. I had a lot of expenses that go into those flips. So I had held on to some of them and made them into Airbnbs. And so I got depreciation on the furniture. So there was a lot of um, tax breaks within that calendar year, versus this year I have properties that are set up and running. I don't get to take the depreciation from those Airbnbs. So now I'm going to be paying more taxes, and I have to be able to offset that. And if I waited until the end of the year when I sit down with my CPA, it would be too late. So I have to educate myself and try to make the best decision along the way and make a plan for that year of, okay, how much do I think I'm going to make? What do I need to do to offset that and pay less taxes?
So when do you think it's a good time for someone to seek out like a tax advisor? Do you think people it's like their first rental property or just they got to wait till 4, but what do you think?
I think their first rental property. If you lay the groundwork and set up the right entities, and you start that conversation with somebody who is going to educate you a little bit along the way, then you're going to have a great foundation for as you grow, knowing what to do. If you wait until you have 4 rentals, you might be missing out on a lot of tax benefits, and those tax benefits could equal a down payment. So I think the sooner the better. Even if you just have a regular W-2 job, you could go into a financial planner and say, or a CPA that does kind of financial planning, and say, I am paying this much in taxes with my W-2. Is there anything I can do to offset that? And they could say, buy a rental and this will be depreciation. This is what you're paying and this is what you will be saving.
Yeah, that's great advice. I think that's the one important thing is a lot of people ask me questions about CPAs or tax advisors. And I think my biggest thing is you have to find someone that's going to try to figure out what you're trying to accomplish. It's not kind of the other way around where you're just solely relying on this person to say, okay, we can take this deduction, we can do this. It's more like, I want to accomplish this. I want to save this much money, or this is what I want to be able to write off. And I'm going to find someone that's going to help me navigate it so that where I can take advantage of these tax codes or tax benefits. And I think that's the number one thing is finding someone that's going to pretty much, you know, see your vision and try to accomplish that. I think that's what the super important thing
Yeah.
with a tax
And
advisor.
if,
So what other
yeah.
maybe financial skill? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, and
No,
if you don't feel
finish up.
comfortable to ask questions, then you have to find somebody else. Like, it should be somebody that you feel really comfortable with, that you can ask the questions and you're not going to feel stupid. Because I have had those CPAs that make me feel like a complete idiot. They're just like, oh my gosh, why did you do this? I can't believe you. And I'm just like, that's not the person for me, because I want to feel free to ask questions. And I know I'm going to make mistakes along the way. And the goal is to work collaboratively and to educate myself.
Oh yeah, I've heard those words how many times too, like after the fact, right? They're like, "Why'd you do this?" or "Why didn't you do that?" And it's like, I don't, well, I mean, I'm trying to figure things out as I go, and there's no, and that's the thing too is the tax code and it's so confusing, and that, like you said, the book is this thick and there's that many pages in it, and there's no way to really, completely understand it, from the first page to the last page, right? So it's really you're kind of learning and you want someone to just kind of help you and assist you along. So that's great advice there. But what other financial skills for life do you think would be important?
I think budgeting is a big one. Just knowing exactly where your money is going. And this can be a personal budget or it can be a budget for your real estate, especially if you have short term rentals or something in like the commercial space. I just went through the budgeting for my Airbnbs, and it can be easy to uh, add on expenses. So it's like, I'm paying the pool person, the lawn care person, I'm paying platform fees, and they just start to really add on. And so I try to go every year and like go back through the budget and go, okay, are all of these necessary? Can I cut any of them out? And or can I find a better service provider at a better rate? And so I like to budget for my business and also do a personal budget.
I'm horrible at that. That I think that would be my biggest flaw is budgeting, and I think that's just from when I was younger. And I think that's part of where I struggle is because I was always kind of like, okay, I have a paycheck. I need only this much to whatever pay these expenses, and all right, the rest is I can just do whatever I want with it. And I think that's the important thing, and I like to talk about it quite a bit. Is also knowing, your expenses, how much income you're generating, and then kind of your discretionary or disposable income that you have, right? But the big thing I think is also investing, though. Even though
Mm,
you have this much money coming in to pay off these expenses, it's also, and not even looking at retirement accounts as considered investing, because a lot of times, and I fell for that, right? It's like, okay, I got this is going to my pension, this is going into the deferred comp, or your 401k or whatnot. And it's like, okay, I'm set. Everything's been invested, and now the rest is mine to spend. But I think you have to go another step beyond that and invest on top of whatever retirement accounts you may have, or pension plan, but do some other things with some of the money that you're bringing in. So that's a great point. But what other things you think are super important in the financial skills for life?
I think another is just mindset. It's like we need to train our minds, because all our financial decisions, our motivations, they come from our mindset. And a lot of people get caught up in the keeping up with the Joneses, or spending money on things that are bringing temporary happiness, but in 5 years, are you really going to remember all this clothing that you bought, or all these shoes that you bought? And but yet those decisions are holding us back. So the mindset factor, I think, is honestly number one. It's more important than all the rest of them, because if you don't have your mind wrapped around, like, I'm investing in my future, and I'm going to make a few sacrifices now for that, or even I'm going to take that risk and I'm going to be brave and go for it, then you'll never get ahead. So mindset is number one for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Mindset, and just realizing that retirement age is kind of a made up number in a sense, right? A lot of people, we just see this, whatever, 65 retirement age, and we kind of work backwards from there, right? Like we say, okay, this is when I'm planning to retire, and I need this much, and you kind of work backwards instead of, like you're saying, make some sacrifices and maybe put in a little more work in the earlier years. And it might be only 5 to 10 years that you have to put in that sacrifice, but now you're able to retire at, like, 50, 55, and you just have this a lot more time to enjoy life. So yeah, definitely mindset is super, important. And I think for
Yeah.
me, a very important one is just, it kind of goes with mindset, but it's also like, I guess you can put it in like communication, networking, and just talking with other people about money, or finances. I think that's super important. And I don't know how, your upbringing was, but it was kind of like, we're not supposed to talk about money, right? It's frowned upon to talk about money, or bring up those type of things. So I think that's something I'd love to change, especially with my son, and realize that, money is not evil, or talking about money is not bad, right? So I think that's super important.
Yeah, that's a big one. It's traditionally, I remember when I was younger, like maybe in my early 20s, maybe 19, and I asked my friend, like, oh, well, how much are you making at that place? And she was like, she gasped. She couldn't believe that I had asked her what she was making. And I've never really felt taboo around asking people what their salary is, and now it's a thing. Having that salary transparency, I think, is more acceptable. And I think that's great, because we do need to, you just don't know. If you don't know how much someone's making in a particular position, if you're in that position, you could be making more money and not even know that you could be asking for that. And so talking about it, meeting other people, and networking is a great one.
Yeah, I think that's been super eye-opening for me, is just realizing, like, how that relationship with money really can impact, like, even just your motivation for doing things. I think I just really got complacent with life, and I thought, like, oh, I'm fine, I'm good. Why do I need more, and things like that, when in reality it's like, you know the more you try to achieve, there's more good you can do also, right? It's also like the more money I have, it's the more I can provide, it's the less stress I take off, whether my son's mom or even my son's upbringing, and it's just things like that, right? But it's kind of like you said, just that mindset is super important, and just talking about it and being around the right people. And that's how, we connected over social media, people that are in real estate, and you see people that are doing these same things. And maybe I know I just interviewed Michael Zuber from One Rental at a Time, and it was a
Oh, no.
super eye-opening interview. And he really focused more on the mindset and kind of the flaws or why he's broken. And we kind of talked about it. And I think, I'm not sure for you, but like when we grew up, it was kind of like you were just, your circle was just the people that lived on the street or who you went to school with. But now, because of social media and the internet, you're able to reach out and connect with these other individuals that are, maybe a little more like-minded or doing what you want to do, or just seeing that. So I think that's been super helpful too, is just being able to connect with different people. So that was
Yeah.
eye-opening in that interview.
When I was at the ISS storage conference, I met this couple that was talking. They're from a very small town in Washington, and they were just like, wow, it's been so refreshing to meet people that are real estate investors, because they don't know anyone that is investing in real estate. And they're like, people look at us like we're crazy. Like, they get so bored of what we're talking about. They're not interested in it. And it's been so refreshing to have people as excited about it as we are. And you could see that it was really meaningful for them, and it really validated their interest in it and what they are doing, which encouraged them to continue on. Now they're like, okay, let's get the next property, let's keep going with this. And so just having those people around you that make you feel like, okay, this is a really interesting thing to do, this isn't a crazy thing to do, and it really can help me with my financial freedom. But if you're around people who are maybe just grew up in your same small town, or they're small minded, they may unintentionally, subconsciously be discouraging you from doing these things. Even if it's just like saving money. If you're like, you go out with your friends and they don't have these goals, they're not trying to save up money for a down payment or invest, they may look at you like, come on, just come out with us. Come on, just buy this thing. Like, they encourage you to do these things which aren't in your own best financial interest. And having that network of people around you who are going to support you with that is crucial to your success, because ultimately we are social creatures and we need that support. And so networking, even if it's people that you met online, can be really helpful.
All right. I think that's a perfect way to end this and wrap this up. But so anyone out there, right, you got to get out there, connect with other people that are doing it, some like-minded people, whether it's real estate, whether it's stocks, starting a new business, but just get out there. I mean, there's so much people that want to connect, or, provide an experience, or just build a, network of people. So get out there, and that's how me and Lauren connected. But thanks for doing this, every week, Lauren. And like I said, I'm not getting tired of you at all. I'm glad to always have you
I'm just
back. And
kidding.
and
I
so
was
no,
just
I
teasing
know, I know. But thanks for doing this. I know you're busy, but yeah, thank you for doing
you.
this.
Yeah,
So
it was a
we'll have you next
pleasure.
week.
Always a pleasure.
All right, bye bye.
Bye.